I go out walking after midnight, out in the moonlight, just like...
Hello and welcome to the practice problems video for Newton's method. Okay, so we're going to use Newton's method and x naught is equal to 1, so that's our initial guess, to find x sub 1, x sub 2, and x sub 3 for the function f of x is equal to cosine x minus 4x. Okay, so for all of these, we'll need that original function. We do need that original guess here, or this initial guess of 1, and we also need f prime of x. So that's going to be a negative sine x and then minus a 4. Okay, so we're going to need that as well. So we need those three pieces of information to start off with. So x sub 1 is going to be equal to x naught minus f of x naught over f prime of x naught. Okay, so this is going to be our x naught is given as a 1, and then we have to plug in a 1 here and a 1 here. So this is going to end up being 1 minus f of 1 over f prime of 1. Alright, so f of 1, what is that? F of 1, if you plug in a 1, we get cosine of 1, and this is in radians, minus 4 times 1. So this is going to turn out to be some number like negative 3.459698. We are going to have a lot of decimals, I'm just going to warn you now. And then our f prime of 1 is equal to negative sine of 1 minus a 4, and that is about, or approximately, equal to a negative 4.841471. Okay, so let's plug these in, and we'll find our x sub 1. So x sub 1 is equal to 1 minus, and then we have this negative number on top, so negative 3.459698, and this is over a negative 4.841471. And this is equal to about 0 because these are these both cancel into positives, but it's such a small number that it turns out to be 0.285404, and this is a positive number. Okay, so this is our x sub 1. All right. Okay, so now on to the next one. We're going to do our x sub 2. So x sub 2 is going to be equal to the formula x sub 1 minus f of x sub 1 over f prime of x sub 1. So again, our f of x is equal to a cosine x minus 4 times x. Okay, f prime of x is then negative sine x minus 4. And just a reminder, x sub 1 is equal to 0.285404. Okay, so if we do this, we get x sub 2 is equal to, so we're going to plug in this 0.285404 into everything, so minus f of 0.285404, and then this is over f prime of 0.285404. Okay, so now if we do that, we get x sub 2 is equal to 0.285404 minus, and then on top we're going to have, if we plug that number into our f of x, we get cosine of 2.85404 minus 4 times 0.285404. Again, this is quite lengthy, I apologize, but it's just kind of in the nature of the problem. So, and then f prime of that number is going to be our negative sine of that number, 0.285404, and then minus a 4. Okay? Alright, so when we compute this and you plug that all into your calculator, we get a value that is x sub 2 is about equal to 0.242880009. Okay? So there's that, and now we have one last step. We're just going to compute our x sub 3. Okay, so x sub 3, that's going to be the same thing as saying x sub 2 minus f of x sub 2 over f prime of x sub 2. Again, our x sub 2 is equal to 0.242 and then 88009. Okay, so we get x sub 3 is equal to 0.242880009 minus f of this number, so 0.242880009, and then all over f prime of that number, 0.242880009. Okay? Alright, so let's plug that in. So we get that this is 0.242880009 minus, and then when we plug that in, we get a cosine of that number, so 0.24288009 minus 4 times that number, because we're plugging that in for x, right? 242,88009. And then on the bottom, it's a little bit simpler. We only have to write that monster number once. So negative sign of that number, 242,88009, and then minus a single 4. Okay, so when you plug all of this into your calculator, we get that x sub 3 is about equal to 0.242 and then 676. Okay? So there's our third and final answer, and on the next slide I'll just write our conclusions, all of our answers together. So x sub 1, so we were given that x naught, our initial guess, is equal to 1, and then x sub 1 was equal to 0.285404. Okay, x sub 2 was equal to 0.242880009, and the last one, x sub 3, was equal to 0.242676. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Here are our 3 answers. That's what our question was asking for, and that'll be the only problem for this practice problems video, because all of the other questions pretty much work the same exact way. Alright, so I hope that helps, and happy studying.
I walk for miles along